Hello, good morning cellists. Today, building on what we looked at yesterday with the first portion of the Arioso and Feuillard's 33, we're going to continue with those ideas. Probably relatively short session today, but let's just have a look. You're going to start off with another scale, and this one's going to be the melodic minor of A. Also tied in with both the study and the Bach to some extent here. So again, I think slurring would be good. And maybe when you try out your scales, rather than just thinking about the pattern, which you might have to start with, or about the allocation of bow, maybe just try and imagine you're actually playing it incorporated in a piece of music. You know, imagine Beethoven's sonata or something like that, and see if it makes a difference to the way you play. So there's your A melodic minor, and it's all related to, as I said, the Feuillard study is about to go into A minor. And similar to yesterday, you could try this inarticulate shift on the minor scale, this melodic version, which means you're still getting these sharp notes at the top. I wasn't planning on coming back down, and then thought, oh well, I could do. So of course on the way up there we've got a very small semitone inarticulate shift there, then the tone, and then a tone, semitone, come back, tone, semitone, whole tone. Feels quite big. And another tone and semitone, and away we are. And as I mentioned yesterday, that when you come down, going down as in pitch is actually going physically up, of course, against gravity. And you know, one needs to work quite hard to make sure that that is clean and swift and accurate. Okay, so try that out. What else did I think? Today I think for a bow pattern, we'll build it on what we looked at yesterday, which was we had a division of 5 and 3, down and up, and the down was strong and the up was avoiding crescendo back to the heel. So as a reminder, it was on the A like this. And that we were falling and rising the arm here in order to try and procure that. Now we could try the same time division, so the same pattern on the D string, but a slight alteration. This time we're going to allow ourselves to crescendo into the heel. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, it's interesting, there's still a slight lift here while we're turning around towards the point, because we don't want it to sound like we've got an articulated beginning. You know, we're trying to keep a smooth turnaround, so that in trying to create an elliptical shape, there's a little bit of lift and a sort of almost circular movement of the elbow here. But then you can use your arm weight to come back and drive into the heel for the crescendo. This bears a relevance to Bach, the next phrase that we're looking at. And I think quite nice to actually mix the strings so that we start D, move to A and back to D. Again, it's going to bear relevance. But it's really useful to take these things out of context in an apparently very simple form. But by being simple, it really gives the opportunity to think about what you're really hearing and how you are actually executing that to make it its best before you add in fingers. Right, now let's move on. Feuillard number 33. We have got to the 5th bar, and it's very similar to the opening, but this time based on the A minor phraseology. Just a little smile there, thinking, oh yes, it goes on a nice little modulation. So having done A minor, to an F major, little F major scale, which is a submediate, and then to D minor. I mean, as you could probably hear, you know, the 4/4 shifts need more work. They need a little bit more attention. So that's where I would, if I were you, put your focus, because we're pretty good at moving on the first finger, you know, that's sort of clean. And also, of course, in this particular example, it's only a little semitone shift, like a little nudge shift here. But on the way down, we want a very quick move backwards like that. Okay, so enjoy that, that's all it is. There's extra 3 bars. Now, Arioso. So we've just arrived at this rather nice cadence. And lifted off. Now, whilst that's ringing, and it should ring really well, one, because as I mentioned yesterday, if you leave your 4th finger in contact with the fingerboard and lift off the bow, you will hear it ring on, and actually until you take your finger off, it should continue to ring. And of course it's picking up on the open G, so there's a natural resonance in the instrument that it's also homing in on. And that really enjoy that crotchet's rest of just a ringing sound of G, because we want to try and come in on a higher harmonic of that G that we're feeling the resonance of. And we want to come in really, really beautifully quietly. Let's see if we can. So we've had this cadence. Within the crotchet, of course, one has got to do a retake, and I think with the retake, make that part of the piece. It needn't be you know, a swift and linear action this way, but actually bring it in the temporal time frame of the piece. So we've had the movement. You know, you can just take your time with it. I know we've got to be arriving at the right moment in time, but I do want you to kind of like feel that that is part of the whole performance and the whole immersion of you in the instrument, in the piece, and then it's really more convincing to your listener. So we've arrived at this top G really quietly. Now the tricks with playing really quietly is actually things are not so, your automatic response is to be a bit gentle with the hands, but the opposite is true. We need to be really nice and firm with this G, as if you were playing a fortissimo. So a fortissimo left hand. And then in order to make a really good light bow, again similarly, we need to have a good hold in the fingertips of the bow to basically just fractionally take the bow weight off the string, so that you can actually begin almost, you know, on one hair. Breathing. So contrary to what you might think, in order to make it really quiet, you need to work harder. Because if you sort of go a bit soft with it, you're going to maybe not make good contact, not have a clean sound, although it's actually quite a nice note, it resonates easily with the instrument. And again, you could end up having too much natural bow weight in the string for the pianissimo that we're looking for. We're looking for it to be something magical, coming out of thin air and then being developed. So we've ended here. That I've just demonstrated, we've got 2 of the bow versions we looked at. The first one is no crescendo after the magical opening. Don't give anything away, keep deadpan in terms of don't raise the dynamic. Don't be kind of enticed to play, because you kind of give away the story far too early. So keep it low in, keep the lid on it dynamically, and then, as you will have heard in my previous demonstration there, you can gradually increase the crescendo and arrivals in the next two falling sequences there. And then we've just come to a place of couplets, which reminds one of the Bach suites, the saraband couplets. And with couplets, as you might recall, it's a bit of a lean. We arrive in the next note and then lift. Same again. And then we can crescendo here. Then go across the string. So this shift is an articulate one. We're going from 4 to 1. The first finger will slide along behind the fourth finger, knock it out the way, to the G, stretch. Now at the moment, my 1 being on a G there, when I come across to the D string, I want a C sharp, so this would be a C, so don't forget you'll need to move in a displaced semitone to find easy peasy your C sharp at the end of that phrase. And I think that's all we have. So just the first section so far, we have this. Now, in just playing that, I realised that I had omitted to kind of remind you about left-hand technique. When I was doing that sequential shape, of course, what's happening there is we are kind of doing a crab crawl, effectively, and we're doing telescope moves. So we've had a stretch, stretch back. There's a really nice little sort of sequential pattern there, which I just remind you of a bit of those telescope movements that we've looked at in previous lessons. Anyway, I do hope you enjoy it. It's a really wonderful, peaceful piece of music, and more tomorrow. Bye.